What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Today in this video, guys, I want to talk to you about the top 4 games I have for 2022 and my thoughts on them and why I'm bullish on them. Now, guys, this is not financial advice and I'm not a financial advisor. These are just my thoughts, thinks, and thunks. The very first game I want to talk about is Defy Kingdoms. Why am I uber bullish Defy Kingdoms and what's got going on for it? First off, guys, they are going multi-chain. This is very bullish because right now they are just on Harmony. Harmony has just over $1 billion in TVL, which means that if it's only on Harmony, there are a very small set of eyes that can actually look and play at the game. Being that it's going multi-chain, the first is Avalanche, it will have, if you compare TVL wise, about 12 to 13 times the amount of eyes that it currently has. Now that's just the first chain they're going to. They're probably going to go to Fantom and some other chains as well. But again, time will tell. We'll see what happens. Next is the community is extremely active. If you go into the Discord, a really good community metric I like to use is the active versus total members. A lot of times what these projects will do is they just have a bunch of different people that are just in the Discord chat, which would be your total members. Now, these don't have to be active. It could just be a bunch of different bots. What you need to look for is a strong active to total ratio. What do I mean by this? Well, say for example, 100 out of 30,000 members are active. That's horrible. A good metric is going to be something that's like 5,000 out of 10,000 Discord members. That is a extremely active community. Ones you will probably see is around 30 to 35%. Those are very active communities. Even 20% is pretty good. Anything less than about 15% or 10%, you probably want to avoid. Those are most likely just being botted out and they're just pump and dumps most of the time. The next thing I want to talk about Defy Kingdoms is the unprecedented growth. This protocol is literally going nuts and ham. And you can tell by the hero volume, the trading volume, and I mean, for crying out loud, if you go on DeFi Llama, they literally have split up for the Harmony 1 TVL. It literally breaks total volume by Defy Kingdoms and then the rest. So it's Defy Kingdoms volume and then the rest. That is how much growth these guys are seeing, and you can see it in the heroes. They are already over, 130, 140,000 heroes already, and it's climbing at this point. Next is the organic adoption, and people love playing this game. What do I mean by this? Well, go look on YouTube. You will see several different YouTube videos talking about updates that are happening all the time. There are several different streams that are just like, hey man, what did you think about this? Like, did you see what the team did here? Whoa, did you see? It's basically like a situation of the gamers versus the game developers, which is uber bullish in my opinion. Because typically what happens is in the pump and dumps is you just have a game, people play the game, and end up just leaving after all the money leaves. We've already seen the jewel price. It's already gone down about 60-65%. Yet people are still playing this game. There are still people making strategies and the community is still going at it. This game is built for nerds, non-nerds, and the ones that follow the herds. Well, let me give you an example. Nerds, as in, if you really look into this game, into the game mechanics, you have a strategical advantage over your opponent. If you learn how to summon the heroes the best, you will have a strategical advantage over the opponent. If you understand how the questing works and the stats that you need, you will have a strategical advantage over your opponent. Now, if you just listen to all that and you're just like, what did he just say? Well, then maybe the non-nerds is for you. You're just here to LP in the gardens, send you guys on the quests, and get some random items, bloaters, eggs, whatever, and just have some fun in the game and just be like, yeah, bro, I played this game. I had a lot of fun. That would be the non-nerds. And then, of course, you have the herds. Those are the people that are like, I'm looking for the next 20x, or I'm looking for the next 10x. I don't know what to do, but this YouTuber is talking about it, so I'm going to ape in. I don't even know what to do, but I'm just going to do it. And those are the herds. Yes, there's a place for them. They could do that. And this game allows you to do it because you can get a pretty cool looking JPEG you can use as your PFP if you wanted to do that. I think that's what it's called, profile pic or something like that, whatever. Anyways, next is the team is focused on protecting the value of the assets. This is very important because if you allow this to get out of hand, as in like the hero population out of hand, or the item item amounts out of hand, and so on, you have a crashing economy. Let me give you an example of this. If you look in the US economy, let's take a look at water. Water in the real world. Okay, so if you go into the desert, how much is water worth? Well, it's worth a lot of money because it's scarce. But if you go to the Zephyr Hills water plant, like the Zephyr Hills water bottle, well, water is very abundant there. So they literally say, oh yeah, here's some water, have fun. And it's like, wait, you're just giving me this? I just came from the desert and I couldn't find this junk. That's what you can look at in an economy. At one side, the supply is very abundant. On the other, it's not so much. If you have the equal balance between that, you can have an economy that works. If you use this and relate this to DeFi Kingdoms, let's say, for example, the jewel price is just infinite. It's a crazy amount of money. Well, what would happen is people just buy the jewel and they'll just hold it. And they won't use it. They will just hold it because it's an infinite supply and it's a strong asset. People won't want to use it. People won't want to spend it. However, if you create an inflationary supply, people will want to spend the jewel. But if you create it too inflationary, people will constantly be selling it and it will be basically a dumpster fire. And this is important to understand because the heroes, when you're summoning with them, they're denominated in jewel. So if the jewel price is a dumpster fire, someone can just purchase a bunch of jewel and then make a ton of heroes. And the opposite is true. If jewel is basically a prime asset, there's going to be very few heroes on the market. And if there's not enough heroes on the market, people can't play in the game, as in get a character and play. Yes, you can still come in here and farm, but it's not the same. You can't get a hero. So you have to have that right balance to where you have just enough heroes in order for more people coming into the game to be able to grab a hero and the right price and jewel for that to happen. Also, it's the same thing with the items. The items don't have enough deflationary pressure. They're basically going to get out of hand. The reason people quest and play in this game is because they get these items and they can sell them for money or use them to enhance their character in the game. If these items are inflationary, which they are, and there are no burn mechanisms, what is the point of questing if the item you're hunting for is worth nothing? Well, there really wouldn't be a point at that point. And what the team does to help with this is creating a cyclical economy. Let's start from the top. When I summon a hero, I need to have jewel. When I use this jewel, this is going to go to different places. First is the questing fund. Second, some of it's going to be burned. Third is going to go to the X jewel holders to reward the stakers for holding the jewel and staking the jewel. And then another portion will go to the team for marketing and development. Yes, guys, they do need to eat too. And where did you think the money was coming from for the airdrops? So that explains what's happening with jewel. So then what about the heroes itself? Wouldn't they get out of hand? Well, the heroes have a limited amount that can be summoned depending on the generation. And obviously, as you step up in the generation, the higher the cost of jewel. So if you're summoning with a Gen 8, Gen 9, Gen 10 hero, it's going to be very, very expensive, and you'll only be able to summon a very select few amount of times. Now, what's also been rumored is that there will be hero burns in the future. So now that we got hero and jewel, what's next? Well, let's talk about gold. Gold is the currency in the DeFi Kingdoms game. This is burned when you are buying items and potions. This is also burned when you're crafting potions and buying other items. So if you buy it from the marketplace, that gold is burned, which is earned from quests as well. So that's your inflationary supply as well. And they create stamina in order to slow down the amount of times you can get these items. If you could literally just get it infinitely, like within now, well, then it's basically going to be hard to keep up with. Now, lastly, we're going to talk about the potions, since you could just make the potions infinite, since you have infinite items and infinite gold. Well, not necessarily. You need the potions to boost up your stamina, health, or mana points. And when you do this, the potion is consumed at this point, which is creating an asset or creating a skill that is also consumed. Because once you use stamina on the quest or the health in the battle, it's consumed. If you guys have not played one of these RPG games, when you're playing in the battle, you want any and everything you can use to your advantage when you're in a PvP situation so you can get all the loot. So you throw all the health potions you can at it, or at least I would. This is also pointing to the complexity of the game, of how they built the economy. And if you look at one of these hero cards, you will see there are so many different stats. There's skill genes, classes, rarity, stats within the genes, and even hidden genes. So it's like, what the snap? So overall, I'm uber bullish DeFi Kingdoms. Go ahead and check out the other videos so you can see what my thoughts, thinks, and thunks are on it. Now the next game I want to talk about is Levana. Levana is basically a game that is similar to a battle of factions. Players' actions are contributing to the overall team. And this is sourced around the dragons. The dragons are the NFTs that you have. This game is built on Terra, and Terra is actually ranked second in TVL behind ETH. This is very important to the game itself because there is a large set of eyes that is looking at different NFTs in the Terra ecosystem. In my opinion, most of the NFTs on Terra are just a bunch of fancy JPEGs. Yes, that's great and all, but bro, I really want to have something that stands out and has a story behind it. I mean, I got all this money and it's got to go somewhere. Levana has a story and a game and people that you can relate with behind it. This is important because the number one thing you need to look for in a project is the community. If there isn't anything that bonds the community together, then you just have a bunch of people together that are happy when it's Wind Moon, and they're upset and want to kill each other when it's number go down. So number go up, we all happy. When it's number go down, we all gonna attack each other and have kamikaze pilots. No, that's not how it rolls. When you have a strong community, when number go up, when number go down, it doesn't matter. We all happy, we all still battle, and we all still having fun. Now I want to mention a couple of things for the Levana game. They will be building an economy in the game using their DeFi background and leveraging the Levana platform, yeah, pun intended, for creating lower slippage and deeper liquidity with items. They do this by having an omni pool. What does this mean? Well, let's take, for example, a sword and a shield. Say you have a sword paired with UST and a shield paired with gold. These two items, or 4 items if you want to call it, but really 2 items, cannot communicate with each other. Because I can trade my sword for UST and my shield for gold. Now, they can't communicate because I can sell a shield for gold and gold for a shield. But if you have an omni pool that everything is paired to UST, I have a shield with UST, a sword with UST, I can now have that route that goes from shield to UST, UST to sword. So it creates the omni pool for lower slippage and better liquidity. There are not broken pools. This is very important to understand. This is why you can go on like SushiSwap or even DeFi Kingdoms and try to make a swap between a bloater and a sailfish, and you will see a lot of slippage. Now, when I say a lot, everything's relative. It's not going to be something that's like 10%. It's going to be something that's like 1%. That's a lot. It shouldn't be any percent. You should be able to switch swap and say, boom, done. That's like going to the bank and giving someone your dollar and saying, hey, can I get 4 quarters? They're going to say, no, but I can give you 99 pennies. What? No, it should be 100 pennies for $1, right? Now next, the Levana community is extremely active. Enough to where you have players making bots to beat the Salem's Adventure game. As in, like, they're recording beating it and just going through and doing this through a bunch of different wallets in order to get a upper hand in the faction wars. Or even this, there are different teams, like, because you have 4 different factions. There are some factions buying up all the premier talismans of the other teams in order to make it more expensive and harder for other teams to actually coordinate with each other. It's like, what the snap? This is like a game versus the game makers. It's amazing. And lastly, it's not a whitelisted event. This is community driven. So anyone could have gotten into this. And even after the mint, these guys are still rolling out junk. I mean, come on. You did the mint. You got a bunch of money. Why didn't you just go away? That's what most NFTs do anyways. The next one I want to talk about is Strange Clans. I really love this game because of the team's goals behind a game. The game is to build an economy. This is really important. You cannot have a good game without a good economy, at least a strategy game. And this game will be a strategy game where you quest and work for resources to make different items to sell and trade with others. There are several things different about this game. First one I want to talk about is that it uses the cash and will be a proof of concept for the decentralized cloud. This is very bullish in my opinion because most of these games are run on AWS, which is A, more expensive, and B, very centralized. Also, they have customizable NFTs. What do I mean by this? Well, if I'm in the game and you're in the game and I'm creating swords, I can create my sword different than your sword. That way more people will come and buy my sword at the marketplace because there's one feature that most people like better out of my item compared to yours. So it basically creates customizable NFTs and that whiteboard that allows people to go nuts and ham. Now what I also like about this game is it's not a get-rich-quick scheme. The token is being airdropped to NFT holders and Cosmos stakers. I mean, come on dude, it's airdropped. What in the world is there to get rich off of? The community is super active. Just wait till the gameplay rolls out. Having customizable NFTs will allow others to contribute to the game development besides just the game developers themselves. Just think what happened to the open source nature of blockchain and DeFi. You can basically look at DeFi like banks, but with a 200-year time horizon that in DeFi is seen within a year. It's crazy to think about, but open source allows you or others to learn from other mistakes and create something better. Lastly, it's built on an application-specific blockchain. This is very bullish in my opinion. As you can see, if you look at Axie Infinity, they had to move to their own chain because they realized they caused too much congestion, gas fees were too costly, and it wasn't contributing to the economy. So this is something that you look for in a team as development and seeing a problem and creating a solution. Now the last one I want to talk about is Crabata. This game is a proof of concept for Avax subnets, especially for gaming. And this is uber bullish in my opinion. This is very important for several reasons. First is it has near zero gas fees. And it even has customizable token fees. As in like you can make the gas token any token that you want. So for example with Crabata, you can use the CRA token for gas if that's what they choose to use. Now, the community here is similar to the others, as in the ones I just talked about in this video. There are people making guides and strategies out there for the love of the game. It's not like, hey, pay me $1 million and I'll make you a strategy for your game. It's like, nah, bro. This is awesome. This is cool. This is a strategy. This has worked for me. I think you should try it too because it's going nuts and ham. It's awesome. I'm printing. Now that is what I look for. A community and a calling around the game. The game is built for both nerds, non-nerds, and the herds. It's the same exact thing I was mentioning in DeFi Kingdoms. It's complex enough to where the nerds get their little dopamine going on because they're like, oh, I solved the game, this is so much fun. And then it's for the non-nerds to where it's like, oh, I'm playing the game and this is so cool, I'm sending my crabs and I don't know what I'm doing. And then the herds who are like, oh, it's my favorite YouTuber, I'm gonna follow him and then I'm gonna go ahead and play this game too and be in the herds and just doing this. And look, bro, I'm sending my crabs out there, look, oh, you got yours too, oh, this, yeah, this game literally caters towards everything. So that's what you look for. And even better yet, you can make different strategies to have the upper hand. This is pretty important in my opinion. I'm the type of guy who likes to make the different strategies to see how I can play this game better and get the upper hand. It's a lot of fun. I mean, it's almost like a game of poker. Everyone can play poker. Like, you can still get lucky and you can still win. But if you study and figure out which cards are better than others or which hands have a more strategical advantage than others, well then you can have the upper hand. I mean, sure, you may lose like one hand or two hands, but if we keep playing enough hands, statistically, I'm more likely to win than you are. And that is the numbers game I like to play. Now I want to talk about the team on Crabata. These guys are constantly innovating. Let me give you an example of the population that happened recently. They did just make an update, but what was happening was that one class of population in particular, the growth rate was getting out of hand. About 60 or 70% of the crabs out there were in one particular population. So what did the team do in order to address this? Well, the reason why the population was getting out of hand is because they basically had the upper hand when it came to playing the game. So when the game makers, as in the Crabata team, they made an update that was like, hey, that's fine, you can keep using your guy, but now we will add it to where, hey, if you're this certain class, you actually have an advantage over this certain class, which kind of threw a curveball to some people. But this was an innovation that was created to keep the sustainability of the game. If they let it get out of hand, then you get to the point where you just get a bunch of whales and one population, which is not healthy for the rest of them. Another example is this. The team may have noticed that the gas fees were starting to get costly. You send them out for questing, recover them, and people are like, bruh, this is getting expensive. Sending my guy out 8 times a day. I'm shelling out this Avax. There's got to be a better way. The team is moving towards a subnet. This is the innovation that I look for. When a problem arises, you create a solution and you move forward. Now I want to end this video with this. What do you guys notice with all these games and what they have in common? First, you have a team that is always innovating and building. And whenever they come up with a problem, they find a solution. Second, they have complexity in the game. It's not just shallow and upfront, you do this, that, and you just have fun. No, you have a consequence for every action. Let me give you an example. Let's say I summon in DeFi Kingdoms with a Generation 1 with a Generation 4. And I'm like, okay, well, I know I can summon with this and I can get a Generation 2 hero. Well, no, that's not the case. You would actually get a Generation 5 because if you study into it, you can figure out that it goes by the highest generation plus 1. You can also look into it like, oh wait, there's a mining quest. I can just simply go mining. Well, if you get a hero that's high in strength and endurance, you will have a better advantage over someone else who is just a miner that really isn't good at strength and endurance. So these are just like the little complexities in the game that I look for. Show signs of A, intelligence, and B, caring about the game itself. You want to look for a team that cares about the game or the project they're building. Now lastly is a strong community. You do not want to be a part of something that's like a pump and dump, that's like, oh, what the snap, when moon. You want to be a part of something that has a strong community, a strong team, and constantly innovating. Why do I say this? Well, because there is going to be a point of time when that chart goes like this. And when that chart goes like this, and the only reason why people were in that game was because the chart was like this, well then they all leave. But if everyone is in that game because it's a community, this means nothing. A community looks like this. That's what you want to look for. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm sorry it was long, but these are my top 4 games that I'm uber bullish on for 2022, and they are going to be a proof of concept for each chain. And I think it's going to be pretty interesting, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen to them. If you guys want to join the Discord and see what other Gamefi games I'm playing in, what I'm doing in the markets, and other protocols I'm looking at, you guys can jump in the DigiSquad Discord. Links in the description below. It is the Patreon link. And if you guys like this video, y'all guys know what to do. Let me go ahead and leave you guys with a wisdom one-liner. Here's chapter 19, verses 4. Wealth attracts many friends, but even the closest friend of the poor person deserts them. That is the heart, man. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one. You guys can also catch me on tweeters at rent a home fast, like literally at rent a home fast.